Slick Fnords, eh? Who likes that? No, none of us like that. So, doi. Switch camera on. Doi, indeed. So welcome, brethren, sistren, and those who don't like to be pigeonholed, all of you freaks, geeks, and every one of you totally unique. It is, of course, the last Friday in New-vember. Gosh. And here we are, the SWDP E-Chapel, ready to hail Eris once again. So obviously, that means that we have to start somewhere, and where we're going to start? It's with the disclaimer. All acts of discordism portrayed herein are for spiritual entertainment purposes only. No spiritual enlightenment or transcendent experience is offered or implied. Leaps of faith and logical backflips are performed by trained sophists. Do not attempt to recreate at home. Any resemblance to other religions alive, dead, or merely untenable is entirely coincidental. Hail Eris and Immanentize the Eschaton are brands of the Discordian Society. All associated intellectual property rights are probably also wrongs. But just the way they are these days. Fnord. And moving on directly, order of service, you'll notice some changes. Some of them have been made very obvious, some of them not so much. But let's go through anyway. We're going to have deep thoughts. Then we're not going to have Faces of Eris because, as discussed last week, she's out. She's on walkabout. There's two ways that we'll get back to Eris. Faces of coming to a service near you. One is that you send me one because she's not revealing herself to the pastor here at the SWDP does not mean that she's not revealing herself to you. Careful. We all like to see God, but none of us want to see God like that. You know what I'm talking about. Don't even pretend you don't. Then we've got Kandar. Deep thoughts, backing straight into Kandar. You'll see why as we go through. That means that Reflective Tarot comes right before the weekly sacrament. I have my sacrament right here. If you want a sacrament, go and get it now. You're probably watching this asynchronously through the YouTubes because I believe that is the most popular form of consumption of the services. So you can pause the video and go and get your sacrament if you have forgotten it. I have a tarot card ready to roll when we get to Reflective Tarot. It's going to be an aftermath style New-vember shortish service, I'm thinking, this Friday. And remember, wherever you are watching, it is in fact Friday where you are for the duration of the service. So yes, we will be starting this week, obviously, as always, and this is immutable because it does not matter if Eris is hiding away her face from me. I can still have some deep thoughts and I can share those deep thoughts with you. So deep thoughts, our sermon section, will be heading up the service tonight, and we can see, if we take a look, the deep thoughts, man. I've put the Stream Deck. I mean, the whole point of the Stream Deck is that I don't have to do all this ridiculous I don't have to do a reach around during the show. Oh, yeah, probably a good idea to put that on. It's coming. So yeah, 23 is coming, and we remembered that, and it's here now, so that's good. I mean, all we've done is a disclaimer and the order of service, so that's absolutely fine. Here comes 23. You can't avoid it. You can't hide from it. 23 is coming down the track at you, but while it's coming, we don't have to pay attention. But the deep thoughts, man, I don't know if you can really make that out, depending on what screen you're watching it on. You may not be able to. It's a needle and some thread. That's what Deep Thoughts Man is pondering upon this Friday evening, and for that reason, that's what we're expecting to be pondering about. Aftermath moods. What's the point? Because a needle has a point. Yes, visual puns, very much the mood of the evening. And I guess, right, so I'll explain, and there's a link at the bottom. You may get a little bit excited at the end of that link. The whole link may excite you if you're into that kind of URL business. But before we get there, before we get there, I'm going to talk about this Aftermath moods, what's the point thing. Yeah. Here we are. We've passed the Saints' Day of Aftermath. It's interesting. I think that that Saints' Day is kind of key. The later it is in the season, the longer before we hit this moods portion. Because, of course, once we've passed the Saints' Day for the season of Aftermath, us Discordians, we're being carried along with the flotsam and the jetsam of time through the end of the calendar. But, it really, I guess it puts community celebrations, which we are not prohibited from joining in with, into some sort of perspective. And that perspective is that we may enjoy it, we may get into it, but this here, the SWDP chapel, or indeed your own house of Discordian worship, is the place. It's the place to be for that special feeling. You know the one I'm talking about. No, not that one, the other one. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, so we're going on. And as such, I think once you've passed the Saints' Day in the season, as a Discordian, you're like, this is it. Downhill all the way. Getting your 2-horse open sleigh, and that's the end of that. The whole year is just going to come to a slow wind up halt. I, for one, cannot credit how quickly that particular celebration at the end of the year. My understanding, and I don't know if this is 100%, but is that in the Americas, in that part, the Thanksgiving thing is sort of packs of somewhat heftier punch Christmas. That can't be true. The amount of Christmas movies we have, so it must be Christmas. Got to be Christmas, and Christmas takes over the imagination. It captures the mind of all of Western society, more or less. And we pull out our Christmas movies and wrap our Christmas presents and do our Christmas stuff. And December the 25th rolls around, and then a week later, that's the end of the year. It's time to switch, and that's fine, because Aftermath is all about that. It's all about the wind down of the year. But it is, you would not be blamed for thinking that after the Saints' Day, Discordian wise, what's the point? You're just going to get wiped all over by Christmassy stuff. It's all going to be Christmas. Christmas is not traditionally a Discordian celebration. In this corner of the world, Eris has taken a leave of absence, so we're not even going to see any Eris faces until she's decided to come back, which is entirely, she's the head, she's the boss. That's how it works. So yeah, Aftermath. Why are we even here? Well, it is important. This is the whole reason. It comes down, it breaks the Discordian service down to its fundamentals. Yeah, And the fundamental is we have this little moment of a week, much the same as people in other religions, to just say we're on track, we're on vibe, we're resetting our consciousness. And I think it's an important part of the whole thing. Now, one of the things that I was sort of thinking of talking about, and may do, the other thing is, of course, that we're in New-vember, the vibe of New-vember, which has been quite impressive, because I myself have received messages about the nature of the new from all that. I mean, one of the things that's most is that sometimes new things are just broken, particularly video games, but doesn't have to be just that you get a new thing and it is broked. And that's, it has to be fixed until it's usable. Sometimes new things are unpleasant, sometimes new situations. New doesn't just mean good. New can mean good, but it can also mean, I don't really want this. I quite like things the way they were before. And that's the point. New-vember has been an energy of, it's not time to get analytical. It's not time to dive into big presentations. It's time that if you ain't got anything new to say, then probably don't say it. And that's been New-vember. And of course, on the 1st of December, as it is cold in the rest of the world, we will receive a new vibe. Eris may be absent from the service. She might not really be rocking this, but she is going to come along and she's going to tell us what the vibe is for the Yuletide month this year. I've had some inklings already, but until the actual day, you can never really know what is the next vibe gonna be for the last days of 2024. And so I have had to stick within the rails when it comes to New-vember, and this is where we've ended up with these very light, because I haven't got, this is one of the big problems. The service itself is still fairly new, 4 months old, so obviously that can happen. But Discordianism, how new is this? Is what's happening in Discordianism that's new? What's new? This is. I do not know, despite keeping an eye on things, what is new in other parts of the Discordian world, because we don't have a particularly united news service. Yeah, we don't have a central point. Yeah, I flatter myself to think that this provides something of a central point, but not every Discordian even knows it exists or whatever it is. There isn't any, everyone's a pope in the church, and that means there isn't just one pope. If you're a Catholic, you can think, what's new in the Catholic world? Turn towards the Vatican City, and there's your source of what's new. If you're a Protestant, actually, I don't know what happens with Protestants, but there we go. But yeah, I mean, there are places, nerve centres. Discordianism itself has had, when the internet was new, there were message boards and communities. Problem is that the internet community sphere has become somewhat corrupt of late. There are Facebook groups and Reddit subreddits, but these seem to be for people approaching Discordianism as an abstract philosophical standpoint, not actually wishing to practice. If you are in the service, if you're watching the service, if you're consuming the service, then you are a practicing Discordian. But if you just visit a subreddit or go to a group, then you like I like the stonks, that's that kind of, you're just, to some level, you're a tourist, in my opinion. No, is it even an opinion? I think it's just a fact, I mean, if you're not practicing a spiritual path by doing things within that spiritual path, you're a tourist. You'd say the same thing about, I'm really Catholic, but I never go to church. I don't really do anything Catholic. I have like a cross piece of jewellery like Dom Toretto. Maybe I'm just a fan of the Fast and the Furious franchise. It could be that. What's the difference, Don't go to confession, don't do the thing, don't take the sacrament. Not a practice. They call it lapsed, don't they? They say, theoretically, I hang my hat on the Catholic hat stand, but they have an actual term for people who haven't really bothered to consider whether they're really Catholic, but kind of guessed they sort of would put it on a questionnaire or whatever. And unfortunately for Discordianism, with very brief bursts of passionate, like people just really getting into it, that's been the way that it is. So that's where we are, and that's what it is. I mean, them Buddhists, Buddhism has been around for thousands of years. And they've got some great practices as well, because they've got practices like meditation that you could just do at home without having to mingle with other Buddhists. It's great. That could be your whole problem with a religion. That the other people who are involved, not really your kind of people. But yeah, so that's where we're at. We're at a juncture where this has to happen. The service has to happen. Yeah, it's an anchor. It's a beacon. It's a place where Discordianism happens. Yeah, and the vibe for the month is New-vember. So all old thought is still welcome, but not the focus. The focus here is on the new. And I guess, in the word of second-hand shops across the world, new to you could be a thing, on which subject many years ago, but not 2015, so a few years beyond that. So actually I think I was fairly hip to it. I'm pretty sure that this bookmark that I made, that I then took the link of, I created maybe 2017, 2018, so it's not long. And it says here 11/13, which implies November 13th in 2015. So I was within 2-3 years of this being posted in the first place. I came across this cute little thing, the Complete Psychonaut Field Manual, a cartoon guide to chaos magic. And the real reason I wanted to look at this is that I wanted to look at the 8 circuit model of consciousness. And maybe by next Friday I'll still want to look at the 8 circuit model of consciousness, but who knows, the vibe may say no. And I thought that there was some stuff about that in here, but there's a whole entry here, and then there's the actual tome itself, all cartoony and stuff, and I quite like it. I quite like that. So we're going to take a look just for a couple of minutes. Well, we've got 10 until 23 is incoming, so that's a good place to break, I think. So we're just going to take a look through this together for now. We're not going to get through the whole thing, it's quite long, but there we go. So we got Illumination Should Be Free, the introduction. So right, here's the thing, and there is going to be commentary, so this is great. So you could go and find this, there's the link there, you can see the link, and you can write it down, whatever it is. And if you're consuming this asynchronously on YouTube, I'll put it in there doobly-doo down there so that you can go to the link and have a look at it. But am I consuming this uncritically? I am not. As I've said, I am more on the mystic side of the pond when it comes to magic. No. Mysticism, yes. Receiving signals, absolutely. The vibe is a signal, so putting signals out. But they're signals, it's messages, it's communiques. There's no attempt to, particularly, by accident, when you get involved with the mysticism, some aspects of what you could call chaos magic become, they happen. Like the whole vibe for the month thing. Been doing that now for 3 years, and wouldn't you know it, the vibes flow back and forth. It's a negotiation as well, like the chaos will tell you a number of things, and you're like, yeah, some of those names are definite traps, and it's very rare that you can get away with putting your own agenda on it so that it's like, yeah, this should be wholly positive. And to be honest, I would be suspicious of that, because it may not be wholly positive, but coming up something you can both agree on. It's not too good, not too bad, it should just flavor the vibe for a month. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, and that is unarguably chaos magic, and it seems to do stuff. I don't know why. just the janitor. But yeah, this is more a book, I think, that is, well, we'll read the introduction. I'm guessing that the intent of the author is to show people how to do chaos magic by their own account. I could be wrong. So let's read the introduction, hey? We all have to start somewhere. Outside of joining up with a possibly exploitative group, the journey into Western esotericism is labyrinthine indeed. Oh, you're saying a mouthful there, buddy, but yes. Few legitimate books exist for the lone beginner, and fewer still aren't simply regurgitating century-old tech written in verbatim. So we've got a few jokey titles here. Magic for filthy, undeserving plebeians. I am mysterious. Take this survey and come to our super sweet compound. Secret Ascending Master. Like it. Spooky black magic spells and potions for edgy ass witch lords. EA Cotex. Okay, fair enough. Good. This leaves the beginner bouncing to and fro from this book to that, feeling for a map like The Blind Man and the Elephant, which is a reference to a story that they're not going to tell. But, you know, we all know that story, don't we? Don't we? Well, I do, so I'm not going to, as there's nobody here to ask me to explain it, we'll just carry on. This little book is a theology-free manual containing all the best tech written in plain language under a cohesive narrative. Well, blow your own trumpet. A rare beast in this neck of the woods, I assure you. Add a dash of your own belief system, follow the steps and advance or fall into laziness and fail. That's all there is to it. Feel free to copy share this book if you'd like, just don't try to sell it, and we're cool, which is basically a Creative Commons license, but hey. Warning! Magic is the hacking of one's own mind. Irreversible hallucinations, damage to the nervous system, outright madness, and even bricking yourself are all very real dangers here. The author is not responsible for any damage that may occur by practicing any of the tech in this book, and you do so at your own risk. Something goes wrong, see a real ass doctor and avoid new age quackery. Okay, so yeah, here's one of the things which I think a warning like that is cool. It's one of the reasons why I don't like why I cleave to the mystical. Yeah, mystical just means listening experientially, and if some magic vibes slip by here and there we are. And that's a very, I suppose, if you wanted an equivalent, you could talk about the Dharma and the Tantra of Buddhism. Like Tantra tries to do what is probably going to be described in this book, where you're really making a conscious effort to, as they say, hacking your own mind. Yeah. Whereas Dharma just says, hey dude, you know, it's probably not worth the effort. And in addition, this is one of the things, Dharmic practice in Buddhism is interesting, is it's double-edged. The reason that I would say, just go the mystic route, just find these little ways to attend a service, do a thing, is because you've got your own life to live, and you know, you don't want to be, this is for people who want to take it on as a serious hobby. And, you know, people rock climbing, but without ropes, or, you know, people like that, you know, this is what the book is intended for. Whereas Dharmic practice of Discordianism, to me, is about having that finger pause for your Discordianism philosophy, but not really committing to it in that way. That's the way that I view it, okay? Whereas tantric might be, you know, stepping the gears up a bit for your own purposes, whatever they are. And I do think that even if you are gonna, you know, tantrically, the service is a good place to come. Grounding, that's part of the services. You know, it depends what kind of mental energy, mental vibe you're trying to cultivate. And, you know, like coming to the service is very much intended to be a place to release some verbal energies into the chat, but then on the other hand, also to contemplate and to ground those energies and to contemplate them, reflective tarot and all that. So, you know, we're not at odds, but the aim of the book is to give you all the tools you need to do something quickly and to get like crazy results if you require them for anything. And that's another question. Why are we doing this? Are we unhappy with the qualia of our current situation? If so, maybe you do need something like this. But really, what are we apprehending that's wrong or unsatisfactory? How is the gameplay loop of our own lives somehow unsatisfactory? We shouldn't just be changing things, for the sake of it, okay? But I guess people who read this book or find this book are not. So we don't know. Level 1. Belief is a tool. Any damn fool can operate any of the following tech, provided they believe that they can. Belief is not only the first tool you'll master on your journey, but also the most powerful. Faith moves mountains and shit. I think they mean and shit in the sense of and stuff, but faith could move shit. Find the shit, see if your faith will move it. We'll see. Anyway, call it imposition of the will, call it the placebo effect, call it descent into madness, regardless. Magic works. It's true, magic. Well, that's the point, I guess, that I made with the month thing. And one of the things that is very important is that you can't just do something and expect it to do something. One of the components of cultivating that super strong belief is to do things repeatedly. Like I say, this will be like the 48th, 50th. Well, it'll be since 2020, since 2024. So it'll be like the. But it only started in February. So 45th, 47th month that I have received the month vibe. And honestly, the month vibe has got stronger the longer I've done it. And it started out as kind of an inside joke. It was just a thing. This month, aka that name. And then slowly it crept up on me. And that's my basis for all of this stuff. If you do something, then you have to do it repeatedly. And you and the vibe will come into coincidence. And you will then find the effect, if any. You can't just do it once, because you won't be in sympathy with whatever it is you're trying to invoke. So, and that's why I would say the dharmic practice is better, because you haven't got time for a million ritual practices during your week, probably. And if you have, that's fine. I guess that's up to you, right? But me, I've got time for this service. Oh, and we've got 45 seconds. You know what's coming. We've been doing this for a fair few weeks. And I get the vibe. Of the 23. I'm not sure that. I think 23. Well, we'll talk about that in 30 seconds. But yeah, that's my point. We have been doing 23 now. We haven't been 100% consistent. It has to be said, but consistent enough. It's bound to happen sooner or later. We will, as a whole, come in simpatico, in synchronicity with the 23 vibe, whatever that is, and we will decide at such a time whether it serves us, which obviously was a matter of importance right now, because here it is. 23 is here. 23 descends upon us. It does not matter what we were doing a minute ago, and it will not matter that we've done 23 right now. 23 is the 23 liminal space that happens throughout the cosmos whenever 23 is present. It's sort of like the game, except when you remember and observe 23, you don't lose 23, you gain 23. We've all got 23 right now. And like I say, we don't know 100% what the 23 vibe will mean. We don't know that. But we are observing the 23 vibe to find out. And at some point, the penny will drop, the nut will crack, whatever it is. And then we will go, the 23 is cool, which we probably will. Or, well, 23 is not cool, I don't want to mess with the 23 anymore. 23 is perhaps one of the deepest mysteries of Discordianism. It even spills out. There's even a movie about it with Jim Carrey. It was terrible. It was a terrible movie, but at least it exists. I mean, the mere fact that there's a movie about the number 23, about the 23 enigma that exists, starring Jim Carrey and directed by Joel Schumacher, is an event enough. It's bizarre, it's random, and when you look at it, you think, well, this should never have happened. And that's what's really weird about it, because it did. That's enough 23 for 1 week. We're back to our critical look at so we're going to have to just probably well, let's see how long to get to level 2. Oh, it's just the next page. So we'll finish this level 1 page and then we'll move on. Okay, so here we go. So magic works. Okay, so see, nothing is happening. I knew magic was bullshit versus holy fuck, this is awesome. I knew it would work. Yeah, so there we go. Okay. Take ceremonial magic, for example. Here we have a group of people dressing in silly costumes, waving around dorky props, and doing the Enochian hokey pokey. Well, I don't do the Enochian hokey pokey. It's just not my thing. I like the little caption there. Skeletor to my north, Starscream to my east, Blammy Slammy Alakazam, I'm a fucking wizard. So there we go. That's an example of something you could do. If you really want to get into the ceremonial stuff, this is pretty much a encapsulated thing. These acts are meaningless in themselves, and yet the theatre of the thing acts as a crutch. Shit happens not because they think it will, but because they know it will. Whether they attribute the outcome to inner mastery or sketchy metaphysical hippie shit is irrelevant. It doesn't matter what you believe, just believe. And there's a whole sidebar here about learning to lucid dream, which if you want to catch up on this book thing, then you're perfectly welcome to go in there. And I think this paragraph basically describes what I just said. Okay, shit happens as a result of changing the month 5, not because I think it will, but because it always does. So there we go. And why does that happen? Is it inner mastery? It doesn't come from me, and I think I'm easy. I got that easier. The idea that it doesn't. You know. If you want to ask the question, does it come from me? You know, say, I'm a wizard. Do you know what I mean? And it's coming from inside here or wherever. It's not. And I know this because I used to write copious amounts of prose, stories and all of that, right? I used to do that. And I always sort of people like, oh, how did you write this? If they came across it and they liked it, they would be like, and I'd be like, do you know, I don't know. I don't think I did write it in the sense that other people think that you mean it. Yeah. And I think there is an element of craft, and the crafting of writing comes from you. Yeah. But the actual narrative and all the stuff, all the magic that's in a story, that doesn't come from you. It comes through you. And in the same way, when I name the month in that sort of bartering way, where I'm not accepting that name for the month, but I'll go with this one, and you write it down, and there it is. That's the month name for the month. That doesn't come from me, per se. It comes from out there somewhere, because I've thought of ideas and had them rejected by the numinous presence of the cosmic mind. Yeah, that it just goes, yeah, you're not calling the month that, because that's too easy. It's always a question of the two things have to click together, and then you've made it. Because sometimes the numinous presence of the cosmic mind throws me a suggestion for a month, and I'm like, I'm not falling for that. My month will be a disaster if I call it that. I'm not having it. So it is very much a negotiation, and that is exactly it. And so I think if there's a misrepresentation in this part of this document here, it is the misrepresentation that that you always have to be doing something big in order to instantiate the vibe and to get it running. Sometimes you can do something small, but for a long time and on a regular inside a kind of pattern, and that will work too. So there we are. That's where we are this week. So, I mean, weirdly, although I've not looked at this book before, not properly, I knew it existed, but I've always been, it's one of those things, you know, like, oh, I'd like to read that later, and then you never do. Well, now I am, and we're doing it here. So we'll come back to this and have another look in another time. But that is my basic guide to the interface. I think when they call it level 1, yeah, it's that interface between magic and mysticism. You can be mystic without then going further and becoming magic, or you could just do everything. So there's probably going to come a point later on, if we look at this again, where there's stuff I wouldn't agree with. Okay, so that's just a possibility. So we'll put that one away for right now. So there we are back here on this. That's weird. How am I? Oh, there we go. Straight into Kandar, and it even works. That's really nice. That was very smooth. I enjoyed that very immensely. And here we are. Okay, so oh no, it's that one. Yeah, there we go. Yes, we've got Kandar. The floor is open. What can I say? Well, while the floor is open before that rapidly expires and we go into reflective tarot. Yeah. So I mean, here's the thing, right? The whole point is that the service is an anchor, and then what you take away from the service, that vibe, you've got to keep it going until the next service, and that's how it works. Vibe upon vibe upon vibe in a circle, which makes a pattern, and that's how this becomes kind of a ritualistic thing, right? Okay, so I think I can't, unless anyone's sort of not following me and wants to, step in. I think that's all we can reasonably say on that subject for the month. That is the end of New-vember. Next time you see me doing deep thoughts and all of that malarkey, it'll be whatever next month is called. A part of next week's service will be to review what next month is to be called, what the vibe is for the month. Now that is kind of weird because for the first time, or like I don't know how New-vember went. Didn't New-vember? Well, let's see. The 28th it was yesterday. So that means that the 1st of New-vember was on a Friday. So yeah, so there was a 1st of New-vember. So you got New-vember when it was new, in keeping with the vibe, which suggests that because you're going to have to wait until the 6th of whatever December is going to be called before you even know in the service. I mean, I can announce it. I'll announce it on my channel. I'll put a comment on the YouTube. Whether you read that or take it in, I don't know. And besides which, you won't sort of be able to get into the details of it until we actually have the service, right? So, yeah, that's what's going on. And so there we are. We're having a whole new vibe next week. So there we go. We move on. It is reflective tarot. It is the time for the vibe of the week as described in a tarot card to come. That is a great song that hasn't got any rhyming in it, and it's barely got a tune, but it is nevertheless great. So there we go. I already shuffled and cut, so the top card is whichever card we were meant to see, and you've already seen it because I did this, and there's I don't know what it is. You may know what it is, but maybe you don't because you didn't see it clearly enough and you're not familiar enough with the deck. So let's see, shall we? It is. We don't do reversals here at the church, so I just happened to pick that up upside down by mistake. The 8 of Cups. Did we not have the 8 of Cups before? Of course, this is the... Yes, we have. We had the 8 of Cups about 3 weeks ago, so that's interesting. It is the thing of an emotional vibe is leaving. You're leaving behind a lot of baggage. The cups of baggage in this case. Heading off into the new with the possibility of new cups. The cup vibe, of course, is kind of immediate emotion. I mean, the thing about it is, again, you got to think about how this works. Immediate emotion is just like a sort of visceral reaction to something. It can be panic, it can be joy. Those are immediate emotions, you know what I mean? So people often say that this is about love. But of course, in actual fact, love is about more than the cup vibe. So it is partially about the idea that love, very difficult. Yeah, very difficult thing. Well, let's go. You can just lean that there on the keyboard. If only the keyboard was higher, then it would be... I wonder if there's a place I can put this so that it... Can I slide it down there? No, that's terrible. What a bad idea that was. Probably made a microphone noise as well. Now, what I need is like a little stand or something that sits here and I could slot it into the stand. But I don't have that, so maybe this is good enough. Yeah, so... Yeah, I think that's an important realization that has just come out there. So hang on to it because I don't think you'll find many. I've never heard a tarot reader say it before, and I'm not saying they haven't, but I'm saying right there, that when people say, oh, love and relationships, there's two sides to that. One, when you're in a relationship, it outgrows the cup energy. It will still have the cup energy in times and times, but it becomes like a holistic part of life. Love, passion, wands, security, coins, swords in love. I mean, you know, sometimes you have arguments, don't you? So there we go. So like the whole of life's worth is within the tarot cards, and cups are just about that new car smell, that new relationship vibe. And those relationships do not have to be romantic. We could be talking friendships, we could be talking bonding over, you know, colleagues, we could be talking anyone, and integrating with people. Because here's the deep skinny, that having a relationship with other people of any sort is risky to any degree. Yeah, it just happens to be the most risky when you're talking about like a life partner, because, you know, you can imagine that being a life partner is, or entering into a lifetime partnership is risky. Yeah, much more risky than other things. I mean, you can always just decide not to be friends with a friend, but life partnerships, we tend to make heavy, very deep commitment, and there we are. But what's really interesting about that is that at some level, all interpersonal relationships, forming them is somewhat unpleasant. Why is it then that bonding activities are always, you know, let's go and have a barbecue, let's go to watch a film at the pictures, let's go and do something fun? It's because if you weren't getting together to bond and do something fun, bonding itself would just, it's such a bummer. You're trying to mitigate the bummer of interacting with other people by doing a thing. I mean, I think maybe you could be sitting there and go, hey, come on, man, what are you, some kind of crazy introvert? To which I would say, yeah, I am a crazy introvert, and that is exactly how I view the matter. But the fact of the matter is that our personal essence finds it quite uncomfortable to mingle with the outward presentation of the essence of others, no matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert or whatever. And that, yes, TF2 Real Gamer 2022, you're in the house. I don't know how much of that you caught or what you're saying yes to, but what I was basically coming down to is other people are a pain in the butt, even if you like them. Monstructo, why has not the message arrived at my doorstep? Which message is that, Monstructo? I do not understand the thing. Are we referring to the fact that Twitch didn't tell you I was here, maybe? Which is a bit of a bummer, because as you can see, we're on Reflective Tarot already. So there we are. I mean, it was pretty good service. I thought we had a look at some chaos magic stuff. It was pretty cool. But it wasn't deep, if you see what I mean. And to be fair, it was a change of topic, because it used to be back in 2007, 2008. No, the Enlightenment. So yeah, your stream. What about my stream? Okay. This is just words at this stage. Let's have a bit more context. Yes, no, the Enlightenment. So yeah, stream. I mean, to be fair, it's very Erisian. The structure of the chat at the moment is very much ease. Lovely. Around about 2007, 2008, 2009, you could easily get a copy of Prometheus Rising by Robert Anton Wilson. And at the time, do you know what KSI stands for? There's a streamer called KSI. Is that the same thing, or is there another thing? I mean, there probably is. You know, like I'm trying to think. There are some famous overlaps. What does KLF stand for? Lots of things. Yeast. I like this. Around about that time, you could get this book, Prometheus Rising. A YouTuber, not a streamer. Oh yeah, that's right. He's a YouTuber, and he did a song, and everyone thought it was pants. Recently, I know that because I saw several videos, diss videos. Knowledge, strength, integrity. Interesting. I mean, I think that the lesson therein is self-evident. You know, if you're a YouTuber whose handle, moniker, stands for knowledge, strength and integrity, you are telling everyone who tunes into that stuff something about your regard for the concepts of knowledge, strength, or integrity. Released on 2009, 8/21, composer Anthony Bray, composer Jeffrey Dunn, composer Connor Thomas, Bray, lyricist Jeffrey Dunn, lyricist Connor Thomas, auto-generated by YouTube. So yeah, he has kind of fooled himself since he named himself that. Yeah. I mean, I myself am called Eno M Koney, which is an anagram, not a very deep anagram, but an anagram of one monkey, due to the fact that I used to run a blog, well, I still do run a blog that's technically called One Monkey, One Typewriter, which is the basis of that thing. You know, if you have an infinite number of monkeys and infinite number of typewriters, they'll eventually write Shakespeare. So if you give one monkey one typewriter, you'll just end up with nonsense. So that's what my name means. So there we go. Kiz Daniel Davido Tway Tway official video. TF2 Real Gamers really bringing the random into this, which I do appreciate. So there we go. I must tell you about Prometheus Rising. Back in 2007, 2008, 2009, about that time, Robert Anton Wilson had been dead for a while. It looked as if people were pretty much going to forget him, and you could easily download a PDF of his book Prometheus Rising from various places online, because nobody really cared about it anymore. It had never been a big hit, and it was just floating around. Fast forward to 2024, so nearly 20 years later, and people have taken a control of the estate, having been on Ireland, and is Ireland superior to the UK? In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, yes. For Ireland in Assassin's Creed Valhalla has rainbows, and the UK, and you can't really say, because part of Ireland is part of the UK. There's a part of Ireland called Northern Ireland that is technically part of the United Kingdom due to various laws and funny stuff. But you mean Eris, the Republic of Ireland? Either way, I mean, both Northern Ireland and parts of Eris are represented in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and they have rainbows all the way through. Whereas the mainland UK, and which in Assassin's Creed Valhalla doesn't include either Scotland or Wales, but that doesn't have rainbows at all. But that's because it's mostly England, and even to this day, if you leave Wales or Scotland, you enter England, it's a wasteland. It's like a proper UK country if you ordered it on Temu. Yeah, so England, no. So yes, Ireland superior to the UK, depends what you mean. You need some sort of absolute measure to declare someone superior to someone else. I don't think there is one. But the rainbows, if you're saying has more rainbows in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ireland definitely wins 100% of the time. And you can beat up druids in Assassin's Creed Valhalla in Ireland. People wearing, deer skulls on their heads and shaking beads at you. It's brilliant. That's great fun. So the enemies in the mainland UK tend to be a tad more boring. So there we go. We got all of that. Well, most tourists will only see England in the UK since it's the most visited part of the country. That is absolutely true. And the number of non-British, and let's be fair, American, maybe some Canadian YouTubers who visit Wales and they're like, we have unlocked the secret level of the UK because we went to Wales, which you've never even heard of, and they film all the castles, and it's just crazy. So there we go. No sex. This is a shared dorm. Sex is rude here. Please do respect other guests. 1 million VND penalty for breaking the law. More expensive than a private room. Someone has sex in your room. You must film it. Tomorrow we'll have popcorn party and watch and laugh together. Free popcorn. Yes, very nice. This is very much, I feel very much like the Anchorman at this point. You put stuff on the screen and I will read it out. Stay classy, San Diego. Oh, go flip yourself. So there we go. So yeah. Yeah, I've watched quite a few of those. We went to Wales. Jazz. Das ist gut. Yeah, I've seen quite a few of those YouTubers because I live in Wales. Das ist good. Yes, I know that's German. My wife as she's fluent in German, but hearing fluent and reading fluent. She can't really speak. Germany played a huge role in World War II. I did not know that. I certainly did not watch the excellent film Operation Mincemeat the other week, which detailed in one way in which we thought. What's your opinion on Germany's actions in World War II? Well, there's a double layer going on here, you see. If you contrast World War I with World War II, all parties behaved abominably in World War I, but within certain kind of guidelines that, you know, and this is one of the things that people thought was such a shame. It's just a bunch of people killing each other. And then at the end, it's why were we even killing each other? Don't even really know. Yeah, that was the kind of thing. Because some guy in a fucking castle told me to, or something. You know, for my country, whatever that means. It's one of those things. It's a practical demonstration of the hollowness of that kind of patriotic sentiment. But weirdly, weirdly, in World War II, we have the Axis and the Allies, and even in that historic. I mean, I know history is always written by the winners, but the Germans have conceded to have been called the Axis forces, yeah, and Allies just sounds cool, doesn't it? Oh yeah, we're the Allies, we're brilliant. Whereas Axis does sound a bit like, you know, as the famous sketch went, are we the baddies? Yeah, and that's the thing. The Germans did things in World War II over and above just the mass slaughter of people on a blooming trench warfare, all that kind of basis, and they did some extra stuff that was particularly unsavoury, and that's brilliant. In Hearts of Iron 4, which country would you pick if you were a beginner? Whichever one is recommended for beginners, because I'm a beginner. It's a logical tautology. Anywho, Prometheus Rising. Yeah, now it's become this kind of, it's slowly morphing. I think you're a bit ahead of the curve. If you go and read Prometheus Rising now, in 5 years, everybody will be like, have you read Prometheus Rising? It's this crazy thing by this guy. But in Prometheus Rising, Robert Anton Wilson describes a thing called the 8 circuit model of consciousness, which I don't entirely adhere to. But it is interesting. Bitte schalte die Musik aus. Okay. Please something, the music, aus. Ausgang, way out. Out. Really? Is Elon Musk cooking, or is he the one being cooked? I'd have to say a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. That is the only way that you can say it. You know, but the thing, what's interesting is, yeah, he's got enough money to cook things, but his mode of action, the things that he does, end up cooking him. He ends up being cooked by himself. He's like a man tripping over his own bootlaces. Yeah, so that is the answer, is that his greatest strength is also his greatest weakness, as is so often a cliche said in like martial arts movies and stuff like that. So there we are. So yeah, so that's I'd say it's a reading recommendation for this. What? That's not German. So yeah, and I can't read it. I don't think that's English. It's not English, and it's also I feel like it might be Klingon, and if it's not, I've just insulted some. But it's the apostrophes. You see, that's what gives it that Klingon feel. I don't know. I doubt TF2 Real Gamer 2020. Are you going to play TF2 with us today? Klingon. I am not. Amazingly, and in reality, this here, what we're doing, what I'm doing, this service, it's kind of like an extra voluntary job that I do. And after this, I'm going to go and grab myself a Dr. Pepper and watch some television. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So no, I will not be playing TF2 today. I'd say I'm soz, but apart from anything else, I think I've explained on say hello to your wife for me. I will indeed. I will. Yeah, I'm afraid that, as I've explained on Mel, is the best soda out there. See, vibes on. That's exactly the case. Dr. Pepper is, and what I found is, because I used to buy tray after tray of cans of zero. I have zero because I don't really like having sugar in my soft drinks. That's just what I don't like. But I used to buy tray after tray of it, and what I discovered is if you drink it like literally all the time, it's not that it gets worse because it's the best soda in the world. But really what you should do is just like hit it really hard, have like a bottle over the course of a day, every so often, and not just have a constant supply coming into your gobble, because you really appreciate it more if you don't drink it all the time. Yeah? Aren't bottles way more cost efficient? Sometimes and sometimes not. You see, the thing about bottles is that once you've cracked open the bottle, you don't want it to go flat, so you're encouraged to consume more soda. Yeah, and cups, well, you take it from the bottle and put it in a cup. TF Real Gamer 2022. Come on, let's get it. Yeah, you because if you leave the bottle for long enough, then it'll go flat, and then you've just got some flat soda in a bottle. I had a quarter of a litre soda when 2 litres cost the same. Yeah, I understand that. I don't buy the cans individually. I buy the cans in pallets at bulk. Yeah, I like my soda a little flat. I don't mind it a little flat. Yeah, I think if it's too fizzy, it's terrible. But the point is, you don't want to get to the point where it's just, you know, water that's been flavoured with no fizz in it whatsoever. So yeah, I bulk buy cans of some stuff, but not Dr. Pepper. I do buy bottles of Dr. Pepper because that's how I like to consume it. So there we go. Yeah, and in fact, if you buy cans, we've got a supermarket here called Aldi, which is, I believe, German in origin, and they serve sort of a generic cola that's incredibly cheap to buy 6 cans of it. And so, like £1.60 of that, 6 cans, which is, you know, comparable to bottles. And yeah, absolutely love it. That's like, there's got to be like an everyday meat and potatoes like drink. You can't just drink the top grade drink all the time, because then it becomes the norm and you've got nothing to reach for. So that's the way it is. So yeah, anywho, that was the reflective tarot, and we must at this point perforce move on to the weekly sacrament. It is that time. It is such a pleasure. It is such a pleasure to end sort of get towards the end of the service and be in this matter of fellowship. Will the Fourth Reich arrive soon? If it's a novel, if you order it from Amazon, I believe there is I think there's a Ken Follett wrote the Fourth Reich. I think he did. I'm not sure. Could be, or someone. There was a book. Sure, there was an enormous stonking novel called The Fourth Reich, and probably Amazon will sell you a paperback of it that will arrive overnight. So there we go. That is the answer to that question in that sense. In the sense of an actual Fourth Reich that is instigated by a country as a political power to take over the world, I think the world has had its time with that kind of concept. Now we're all just really, really confused. I'm deleting you, brother. 10% please, 35%, 60%, 99 error. True brothers of Islam are irreplaceable. Could never delete you, brother. Send this to 10 other mujahideen who give their lives for Allah. Where are you finding this crazy copy pasta? Got to do the sacrament. Got to do the sacrament. Too much chaos. And that's the funny thing about it. It's one of the funniest things that I found out about Discordianism was that the holy cow, or the sacred cow rather, it tells us so. Yeah, you got to have order and you got to have chaos, and they got to coexist and commingle. That's how it works, right? But until you actually walk the walk and practice the practice, you don't realise that Erisian energy can get a little bit too high, and too high. I actually had. My name is Carmen Winstead. I'm 70. I'm very sick. I'm dead. A few years ago, a group of girls pushed me down a sewer hole trying to embarrass me. I didn't come up. The police came. The girl said that I had fell, and everyone believed them. The police found my body in the sewer. I had a broken neck, and my face was torn off. Send this message to 15 people after you listen to the whole message, if you value your life. Cool pajamas, indeed. So yeah, here it is. The sacrament. It is here. And we, of course, here at the SWDP have a little thing that we do, the mantra of the sacrament. As we have discussed previously on other services, the best sacraments are mildly flavoured of strawberry, even though they represent a hot dog. I actually had sausages in buns for tea, and it's fine because they weren't hot dogs. They were link sausages in buns. But it was, you know, it was symbolically significant. And my wife is so nice to me sometimes by giving me sausages in buns on a Friday and making sure that they're not actual hot dogs, so I'm not disobeying any commandments I don't believe anyway. So there we are. But this here, this is the real deal. This is the sacrament, and which we say the mantra, I could not find a hot dog, not even with a bun, so I eat this candy noodle, because devotion comes with fun. Hail, hail Eris. Shove straws into the berry. Tell you what was really weird this week on the old sacrament is that my mouth was a bit dry. Does Eris like it steamy? We'll ask her next time she's in touch. Remember, she's on walkabout at the moment, so we'll just have to save that question up. Depends what it is. If, as Faith No More had it, it's it. Maybe. I love Eris because of the amount of growth she has in the series. She started as a spoilt noble brat with a knack for solving everything through punching through it, turned into a beautiful badass through hard work and patience. Also, anyone who can't dare send to a wife is karmic justice. Remember to tell your wife about me. Alright then. I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm probably going to frame it like some rando in my chat said hi, and she'll probably be like, that's nice. And then we'll get on with our day. But if that's what you want, that's how it'll go down. Honoured. Alright, so yeah, we've had the sacrament, we've had a tarot card, we've had nonsense in the chat, which is always, it just makes the service that much better. I will be back with a new vibe for the next month of December, next Friday. And it was really nice to see you guys enjoy the rest of your day. But that was New-vember, and it was certainly something to behold. Thank you very much. Eno out. Oh, wrong one. Nope, wrong one as well. That's the right one.